What is Agwu in Igbo cosmology? Kedu ife bụ Agwu na Odinani na Omenani Igbo? Now, some decades ago, a popular orary Dibịa said that ofeke jebulu nkwu Agwu, o si na ya ebuluga Agwu. Onye chọba Agwu, o jebe na Chukwu. Maka na Agwu bụ na Chukwu ka ọ dị. This means that when the ignoramus carries away the icons and the effigy of Agwu, he or she would boast of having carried away Agwu. Whoever really seeks Agwu must go to Chukwu the Creator, for Agwu is part and parcel of Chukwu. It's Chukandune Sokwu, and I would like to welcome you to another educative episode at Voice of the Sun. Today I will be speaking on the concept of Agwu in Igbo cosmology, in Odinana, Omenani Igbo. Now, to fully explain Agwu and its importance in Igbo spirituality, we must first establish the full names of Agwu as it was in the olden days of our ancestors. Mgbe gboo, Agwu was called Agwu or Agwu, which means Agwu, the head of all that exists except Chukwu. Agwu will later face dialectical distortions and will be called Agwu or Agwu, and with time will be shortened to Agwu and then Agwu. Now, with the full name of Agwu established and the distortions, let us go into the spiritual meaning of Agwu in Odinani Omenani Igbo. Now, to define Agwu, its spiritual function, and its place in creation, I will start with a story of how Agwu got its powers and position in society, given to her by Chukwu the Creator. Now, it is well known that Ndi Gboo were wise to embed our folklore with the real stories of our creation and cosmology as a people. Now, this story was told by Professor John Anenechukwu Ume in his book titled After God is Dibịa. And this story is one of such powerful folklore that carries the essence of Agwu in Igbo spirituality. Now, Chukwu the Creator assembled all his creations at his Mbala Obi Chukwu, which is the open space ground around his Obi sacred building, and showed them all 4 long baskets that had its contents hidden. Now, then Chukwu invited all the spirits, deities, human beings, animals, birds, and every other creature made by Chukwu, and showed them the 4 carefully camouflaged long baskets, and told them all present that whoever could decipher the contents would be named Isiora or Isioha, the head of the universe, or the head of all of society. Now, he or she would be placed as the head of society and would be blessed with the knowledge and wisdom to cure illnesses, foretell the past, the present, the future, blessed with enlightenment, and solve all problems. He or she would become the channel through which Chukwu made available all knowledge and wisdom to man, Madu, and society for use as messengers and children of Chukwu. Now, after Chukwu had given his instructions, there was a great stampede to reach and guess the contents of these 4 long baskets. All the spirits, deities, humans, animals, and other created beings failed except Agwu, who requested permission to go into the room and see what could be done. So once inside the room, Agwu transformed into a rat and visited the first basket, gnawing and biting at it with his very sharp teeth, and then paused to listen. Now, the second basket anxiously inquired of the first one, Ekennem, Ekennam, kedife neligi ife n'afọ, meaning, my mother's Eke, my father's Eke, who is trying to eat what you have inside your stomach? He replied, I don't know. Now, Agwu in rat form noted that the name of the first basket was Eke. Agwu repeated this process till it got to the name of the 4 individual baskets as Eke, Orie, Afo, and Unko, respectively. In annoyance, Nkwo expressed that she hoped that what had happened was not a sign of things to come, and that they, Afianano, Ubosenano, would be made to face incessant harassments from unknown sources. Nkwo then quickly added that Chukwu knows the best, and that their function was merely to wait and go into action as ordered by their creator. Agwu, who was temporarily disguised as Oke the rat, did not only now learn of their individual names, but also that they were classified as Afianano, Ubosenano, which is 4 markets in 4 days, which constitutes Ofizu, that is the Igbo traditional and indigenous 1 week, made up of 4 days. Now, Agwu returned to Chukwu and told Chukwu that she was ready with the answer. So Chukwu then summoned all of creation in the universe to hear Agwu's findings. Agwu got up and paid homage to Chukwu, the creator of all, and after that informed every being that was gathered that the contents of the 4 long baskets are Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo, in that descending order of seniority, and that they make up the Afianano, Ubosenano. Now, Chukwu then declared Agwu to be known as Agwu Isiora or Agwu Isioha, for being able to decipher the names of what he had created and concealed in the 4 long baskets. Agwu was also conferred with powers, knowledge, wisdom, potency, and abilities second only to that which Chukwu possessed. So, and whoever Agwu possesses automatically receives these gifts. Chukwu gave Agwu what you call Agwu, the ability of spiritual propelling. Whoever is found worthy and becomes blessed with Agwu's spiritual possessions is infused with that pure and sacred spirit and conferred with great knowledge, wisdom, potent powers, second only to that of Chukwu, the benevolent creator. So, and this means that Agwu is a divine tool used by the Almighty Chukwu for imparting knowledge, wisdom, and power to man. In this light, Chukwu acts through Agwu, and Agwu acts through the Dibịa and other gifted people in our society. Now, in his submission, Professor John Anenechukwume likened Agwu to the Holy Spirit, stating that Agwu is an inseparable part of Chukwu's traditional trinity. Now, a proof that Agwu is a part of the creator Chukwu can be found in a famous saying by a very popular orrery, Dibịa, named Ugo Dibịa. And like I said in the beginning, he said, ofeke jebulu nkwa Agwu, osi na ya ebuluga Agwu. Onye choba Agwu, ojebe na Chukwu, maka na Agwu bụ na Chukwu ka ọ dị. This means that when the ignoramus carries away Agwu's icons, he or she would boast of having carried away Agwu. Whoever really seeks Agwu must go to Chukwu the creator, for Agwu is part and parcel of Chukwu. Now, let us go deeper into the understanding of Agwu in Odinani and Omenani Igbo, which is our spirituality and our traditions. Now, Agwu is solely responsible for the gifts of prophecy and vision. Agwu can be hereditary or brand new in a person, a gifted person. We have Agwu that is from Benna or Obalanna, which is the father's family or father's lineage or father's blood. And the Agwu that comes from Benne or Obalanne, which is the mother's family or mother's lineage or mother's blood. Now, in some cases, the divine gifts of Agwu is not transferred from one's ancestors who were once gifted Dibias or people, but actually manifests for the first time in a chosen person. Now, for as long as we have lived here on earth, our ancestors believed and affirmed the effectiveness and continued possession of the enlightened ones by Agwu. And in this regard, they said, "Onwere onye ọbụna ga-abụ mmadụ Agwu na-adị ama," meaning that there is nobody who would be mmadụ, which is the enlightened human being, who is not possessed by the Holy Spirit Agwu. Now, Professor Ume defined Agwu as Agwu, Agwu, which means the endless Agwu or the everlasting Agwu, emphasizing that the name of Agwu comes from the fact that Agwu is the spirit of endlessness. Now, in this regard, Agwu is seen as the same with the ancient Egyptian Osiris, as revealed in the Book of the Dead, that Osiris was the supreme king of eternity and the ruler of everlastingness, In this regard, Agwu is seen as the supreme ruler of society and eternity and the ruler of everlastingness. And so, Agwu is called Agwu Isiora. In ancient Igbo land, Agwu was also known as Aka Ogeli, which in Igbo language means Nne Chukwu Nwanyi, often shortened to Nne Nwanyi, which is the old lady of Chukwu, that is the divine lady mother spirit. Hence, Agwu is referred to as Nne Agwu, which would fully mean Mother Holy Spirit, the supreme queen of society and eternity, and the ruler of everlastingness. Now, Nne Agwu in Igbo cosmology is the totality of Agwu, that is, the original and complete Mother Holy Spirit, which carries the completeness of the three major divisions, which are Agwu Mmele, Agwu Dibịa, and Agwu Nketa. Now, whoever is possessed by Nne Agwu is automatically given the knowledge of the three, that is, the completeness of Abia, which is knowledge and wisdom. Now, we see Abia in the word Dibịa. Di, Abia. Di meaning master, Abia, knowledge and wisdom. Master of knowledge and wisdom. That's what Dibịa means. So, for us in Odinani, as a supreme form of spirituality, Agwu is also the god of light, Agwu, which is also called Oseobala in Afa language, meaning a god whose eye is the sun, Anyanwu. And in some cases, the ancient Igbo referred to Agwu as Anyanwu, the sun god. Ugo Dibịa, the knowledgeable Oriri Dibịa, who I like to refer to, said that as long as the sun exists in the universe, Dibịa must exist and function with potency. As the god of light, Agwu is the fundamental path of Uche Chukwu, the universal mind or the universal consciousness of Chukwu, which Ndi Igbo shortens to Uche, which is the completeness of the awareness of what was, what is, and what will be. And because Agwu possesses, guides, directs, and aids the Dibịa, he or she has extraordinary Uche, supermind, which is the fundamental and the first and most original Afa definition, which is Afa Uche. If I know Afa Uche. Now let us bring Agwu down to the most practical terms, as seen in our day-to-day lives. Now, Agwu in our day-to-day lives as Ndi Igbo is that aspect of us that has to do with our character as individuals. Umume. These characters lead us, to live upright and stable lives. When a child is born, he or she takes some memories, from the maternal and the paternal side, respectively, forming the true character of that child as they grow. Now, these characters encoded in the DNA are summed up as the Agwu, which we have Agwu Ndi Ịchie Benna and Agwu Ndi Ịchie Ikunne. Agwu si na Benna, Agwu si na Ikunne. And in some cases, these diverse characters begin to conflict as a person comes of age and begins to express themselves in their actions, in their crafts, and in their articulation of thought. And our ancestors, in their wisdom and understanding of spirituality, found a solution for the harmonization of these diverse characters. Their solution is what we call Elo Agwu, and for as far back as our people can remember, the spiritual process of Elo Agwu has been very effective in unifying the various characteristics we carry in our DNA, in our blood, and also leading us, each and every one of us, to a positive end in our life. Now, the character as a function of Agwu, which is divine intelligence, is what forms our principles in life. And these principles, in turn, influences our destinies in life, the predestination of our lives. And when a person's Agwu is harmonized, they can now be able to harness the positive intuitions from Chukwu. After the Agwu is harmonized, one can receive the right messages to help them manifest their destinies and purpose. Now, let us look at the misconceptions about Agwu and how certain of our brethren, ofekes, have twisted this divine attribute of Chukwu to mean something else. Now, many researchers of Igbo cosmology over the years have erroneously depicted Agwu to be what it is not, with the most popular description being that Agwu is the spirit of madness. Now, this version took off among the ofeke, uninitiated, who became Christians and wanted by all means to make Odinani look bad or evil. And in their overzealousness, they echoed this false narrative. Until date, it remains a dominant description of Agwu, even though it is wrong. Now, it is totally false when Agwu is defined as being responsible for mental illness. What has led to this misrepresentation is seen in the cases where a person is blessed with Chukwu, with what we call Chiketalo and Ofagu, divine powers and spiritual purpose. And such a person refuses to follow the path and serve as a Dibia or a gifted person. Makpamkpa Agwu then goes ahead to compel compliance by visiting the person with a temporary shake-up, which appears to ordinary people, as mental illness. Now, in simple terms, when one who has been chosen by Agwu refuses to heed the call, Agwu goes ahead to disrupt their lives as a means of calling them to order. And as we have experienced, many of those who consult Afa are told of the reason for their condition. And once they embrace Agwu, and follow their predestined paths, they become whole, again, most times without even taking any foreign medicine meant for mentally ill people. Now, in this same vein, Ayaga Agwu, can decide to shake up a candidate who is unwilling to become a Dibia with the intent of getting the person to take responsibility for his or her calling from Chukwu. And a total ignoramus who is oblivious of the forces at play, which are the principles of divine will conclude that Agwu is the spirit of chaos and confusion. Now, according to Professor Anene Chukwume, like I always love to mention, the person being shaken up is merely being reminded by the appropriate servant of Agwu that he or she is called upon to the high and divine service as a Dibia. And as soon as compliance is achieved, all the troubles would basically disappear. And according to Nwankwo Nabuchi, many religious zealots have assigned erroneous interpretations to Agwu as a means to destroy the essentials of our link with the higher law. They wrongly call it Agunsi. Now, Agunsi, when directly interpreted means, Agwu whose main purpose is to act as a means of poisoning man or as an agent of destruction. Now, it is important to note that there are dialectical distortions of Agunsi or Agunshi, as the word Nsi can mean poison or prime mover or prime dependent of all, and all this depends on the tone. Now, Agwu from time immemorial for Ndi Igbo have meant prime mover or Agwu the primer, and that is because it is pronounced the correct way. Now, let me define prime mover and primer so you can fully understand the meaning of Nsi, not Nsi, Nsi in Agunsi, not Agunsi. Now, prime mover is the initial agent that is the cause of all things, or a person or thing that is influential and has the power to originate or to create. Primer on its own is defined as the first in time, the initial, and early or first in position, and the foremost. Now, from the above definitions, we can now see the wisdom of our ancestors to ascribe the title Nsi to Agwu, which ties into the name Agwu Isiora, given to Agwu by the Creator Chukwu. Another Igbo word that illustrates the ancient meaning of the word Nsi, when properly toned, is Nsiegbe, the gunpowder, which is the prime cause or primer, without which there is no way a gun can fire. So we see Nsi, poison, Nsi, primer, the cause, the initial, the beginning. So the correction which modern society must take as regards Agunsi is in the tonality of the pronunciation, where Agwu has nothing to do with poison or poisoning. Agunsi for Ndi Igbo and our cosmology means Agwu, the prime mover, the primer, or the potentiator. Now, from the above definitions, we can now see the wisdom of our ancestors to ascribe the title Nsi to Agwu. And we who are coming after them must do our best to continue to enlighten society. Ndị Igbo. Na Agwu is a divine force from Chukwu. Agwu is in charge of intellect, is in charge of wisdom, is in charge of knowledge, is in charge of intuition, is in charge of divination. every good thing that happens, every good thing that comes from the human mind, every supernatural or splendid thing that comes from the human mind is a function of Agwu, which Christians call the Holy Spirit. That inspiration you get to be great, to be a pastor, to be not a pastor, to be a seer. Mbologu, Dibia Mbologu na mkpa akwụkwọ is working with Agwu. Dibia Afa is working with Agwu. Dibia Mmili is working with Agwu. Dibia Mmili. All the gifts we have as humans, any gift you have that requires the exceptional working of your mind is a function of Agwu. And when you have been called by the higher law, by Chukwu, and you refuse to obey your call, which is to save humanity, which is to propel your people, you might be shaken up with Agwu, and then people then say it is the spirit of madness. It is totally wrong to say Agwu is the spirit of madness. So in our Ordinani, Omenani Igbo, in our communication with the divinity and around us, and with Chukwu, we see Agwu as a very important part of Chukwu's Trinity. And that is why we say, when you are gifted or when you are called by Agwu, Edo Agwu, Elo Agwu, Mo Edo Agwu. Edo Agwu is when you offer sacrifices, to your Agwu. But Elo Agwu is when when you have Ukwu Agwu in your compound, and then, as a physical representation of that gift which you carry. Yeah, so this is basically an introduction to Agwu. And I hope you've learned something from this educative video. If you have any questions, or if you have anything to add to what I have just said, please do so in the comment section wherever you find this video, either on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter. Contribute to the discussion as we expand the horizon of our return to our ancient and noble spirituality as Ndi Igbo. So till I come your way again, I remain my humble self, Chukwu Ndụ Na-Eso Okwu. Ndị be anyị, deemen ka ọ dịnụ. Daalụ.